Hey guys, I am Pixel Dan, and today we are going to be taking a look at the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Universal Monsters Leonardo as the Hunchback from NECA Toys. So this is the second release in the TMNT Universal Monsters crossover. I think this is one that a lot of us were surprised by. I know I was. I guess I just wasn't expecting the Hunchback as one of them. But it makes perfect sense, one of the classic Universal monsters. But I believe this is the first time we've seen the Hunchback utilized in one of the TMNT crossovers, because we've had other TMNT Universal monsters action figures in the past, dating all the way back to the original toy line there. So just like all the other figures in this line, one of the things that I absolutely love is that the front of the box there features beautiful artwork that is inspired by the action figure within the box. Really, really gorgeous stuff. This box is massive. I mean, the thickness of this box compared to the other boxes in this line, you could tell that the figure inside is going to be massive to fit inside this box here. The back is really fantastic because it really mimics those classic Universal Monsters movie posters there, or just like what they would use to sell these movies. See what's lurking in the shadows. He has a mind for monsters. I love it. Just all the verbiage and everything on here is so incredibly cool. We got a little bit of a teaser at some of the other figures coming out. We already know that this is April as Bride of Frankenstein. We know that this is Splinter as Van Helsing. And then here we've got Raph as the Invisible Man, which was revealed at Comic-Con. And we got a Velcro flap. Opening that up, you can see the amazing action figure inside. We've also got some photography over there on the flap. But yeah, really great looking figure. Lots of fun accessories. So let's go ahead and get this guy out of the packaging and we will get a closer look at him. All right, we've got our Hunchback Leonardo outside of the packaging. Bringing in the tape measure here, obviously, with his big hunched back, his head is pretty low, but his back goes up to about the full 7-inch scale, and this is a beefy boy with that hunchback there. Look at that. We are over 4 inches, probably right at 4 inches from like the back of his shell to the tip of his nose. Let me just bring in Mummy Michelangelo here, just so you can see what these guys look like standing next to each other. Leo is a big, chunky figure, man. And he's weighty. He's got a lot of weight to him. Really cool stuff. Now, I know that this was one of those character selections that was received a little weird, and I felt the same way. Like, when Leo was revealed as being the Hunchback, I was like, huh? I guess I expected him to be Dracula or, I don't know, something else. Hunchback was not what I was expecting. And I don't know if this is necessarily supposed to be like Quasimodo, like Hunchback of Notre Dame, because that is a Universal monster toy, or if he's more like Igor, you know, because he definitely has a lot of Igor going on there too. So I don't know. It's definitely up to interpretation, I guess, is the best way to put it. Now, that aside, all the details on here are incredible. Just like we've seen with the other turtles in this line, like NECA really had fun with this, you can tell, and did some really amazing things. The tunic that he's wearing has got such a great texture and the sculpt that it does look like it's made of a fabric material. It's all dirty and dingy. You can see the cord wrapped around his waist. The strings hanging off are like a pliable plastic, but it's got a very realistic look to it. Those tattered pants there, but still with the Ninja Turtle knee pads over them, which is a really nice touch. I love these shiny little like blue beetles that are crawling on the knee pads there. Like, how cool is that with some nice metallic paint? And you got like a shackle around his left ankle with a real metal chain hanging off of it. It's painted to look all rusted. The face is awesome too. I mean, look at that. Just such a gruesome look. With those jagged teeth hanging out. I love the little goatee and the bushy eyebrows. And then he's got like the lazy eye, right? The left eye is looking up. The right eye is kind of half closed and looking forward. Just really, really fun. I love it. Now, the turtle shell is really something to behold because this is our Hunchback, right? It's just a big, giant, wretched-looking shell. You can see, like, it's being held together in some spots with these, like, metal plates with the bolts screwed into them. Really, really neat looking. And then you'll see that there's a hinge over here, and over on this side, we've got this giant padlock, which looks like it's locking his shell together. This is plastic, but it does have a really nice rusted metal look to it. And while it is movable, you don't actually have to unhook this at all. In fact, it just stays on there. But what you can do is you can just open his shell. Yes, the Hunchback is a storage shell. How cool is that? It's like using a classic Ninja Turtles feature into this classic Ninja Turtles mashup. Wow, crazy. But what's fun about this is he's got all sorts of accessories that are removable that you can place inside this crazy turtle shell that opens up. So first of all, you can see there's some shelves over here, and there's like a little skull, and it comes off that peg. Look at this tiny little skull here. So I will say that this was a bit hard to get on this peg the first time, and it still doesn't feel like it fits all the way. You really got to squeeze it on there, but once it's on, it holds in really well, actually keeps it in place. Same can be said for this brain in a jar. Look, so there's a little peg there, and you got the little peg hole on the bottom, but look at this. Got this little brain in a jar. You can actually take the lid off. The brain is like attached to the lid, but you got like a little wire there that holds it on. But really cool. Like there's some experiments going on here. So again, you just got to find the little peg there, and you can attach that, and it sits on the shelf. And then in the back, there's a spider living in here. Now this is part of the inside of the shell, so that's not removable. But the bone and the two shovels are removable. I will say that these were a bit hard to get in here, this middle shovel specifically. So you'll see that there's little notches in the shell, so you could tell where everything's supposed to be, like that's shaped like the bone, and there's like a little lip down here in the bottom, so you can take these accessories and kind of work them in. But it is a bit tricky, especially with that middle one, to get it kind of straight up and down, and you got to be careful because you don't want to snap anything. But once you get in, especially after the first time, it does feel like it's easier to get them locked into place, and they store in there pretty well. And this is just a really neat feature. You could always pull those out and use them as accessories for the figure, but look at that. The fact that you can actually store them in the storage shell is just a really, really fun feature here. And those aren't even all his accessories. We've got more to talk about as well. But first, let's run down articulation so you guys can see what to expect here. Obviously, with the hunched neck, that does make things a little bit different from the head. It is still ball jointed, but it basically rolls all around and kind of cock his head left and right there. But decent. You can like still get him to look down and slightly up, which is good. The shoulders have those joints, the hinges that allow you the arms to go up to the side slightly there. That's about as high as you can get. And then they move forwards and backwards. You do have swivels at the elbows. You got the double elbows that the Ninja Turtles elbow pad covers really well. You can swivel at the wrist. You got hinge joints at the wrist there, which is exceptionally perfect for these like really wretched hands that we've got going on there, which is very, very cool. No other articulation in the torso, obviously, with the big turtle shell and everything there. But you do have the ball joints at the thighs. Legs can go outwards, swivel all the way around, forwards, backwards, swivels at the knee, double joints at the knee, again, hidden by those great Ninja Turtles knee pads, and then the ankles can move side to side. They got rockers that go side to side, and then they can pivot up and down. So it's about what you would expect with the articulation on these guys. Obviously, a big, goofy, giant monster like this, you're not going to get a lot of crazy dynamic poses out of, but you can definitely get some good Hunchback-like poses out of this guy. Really, really fun stuff. And I will say he balances well with this big body. I haven't had any problem still standing him up. He feels good and weighty, even with the hollow shell, nice and sturdy and standing just fine. So I mentioned accessories. First of all, we've got a whole bunch of interchangeable hands here. So right now we've got him with kind of just those wretched, hunchback hands. But if you don't want those, you've got a pair of closed fists. You've got a pair of pointing fingers, so Leonardo can still lead, I guess, tell the turtles where to go. And then you've got a set of gripping hands, and all of these are easily interchanged just by pulling the current hands out of the socket. You just got little pegs there. Just give them a push. They plug right in. I'm sure you guys are all familiar with this by now because so many toys these days feature the interchangeable hands. So really easy stuff. And of course, the gripping hands are essential for his final accessories, which are the katanas. Because of course, it's Leonardo. You still got to have katanas. Now, obviously, these are a little stylized. They got these little spiky balls on the ends here, which is pretty cool. And then they do have a bit of a dingy look to them. Like I love how like the bottoms here look kind of like the same metal plates on his back with the bolts in each corner. So those are pretty cool there. And the gripping hand should hold on to these just fine. You can actually kind of slightly pry the fingers open to get the swords to fit in his hands. Just like so.
And now we've got our quasi Leo, our Hunchback Leo, ready for action, because this isn't just your ordinary get pushed around Hunchback. Oh no, this one can fight with swords. And as an added bonus, we also get these flame effects. Now these attach to the top of the swords. You can see that we got these little slits in the bottom there. And let me just kind of line those up just to get those placed on there. And now he's a Leonardo with flaming katanas. I guess that kind of makes them like pitchforks, right? Flaming pitchforks or torches, you know. But do you see what's happening with this right here? You see this? Oh yeah, that's the downside. That is always the downside with a lot of action figures having effects that you clip on their weapons, is unfortunately the articulation just isn't strong enough to hold it up. And so there's some serious drooping going on with these. I've had it with both arms because the wrists specifically just don't seem to be strong enough to hold those up. Now, you can probably find a good pose. Straight up and down seems to work, but I'm saying that if you're going to put them on your shelf like this, I think over time, gravity is going to win, and it's going to droop those down. So that is just something worth pointing out there. I find that that happens a lot with figures that have effects that attach to their accessories.
So there you go, my friends. That is a look at the brand new Universal Monsters TMNT Hunchback Leonardo action figure from NECA Toys. You know, we've had Universal crossovers in the past for the Turtles, but I don't think we've ever had a Hunchback. This is the first time we've ever had a Hunchback turtle. He's a really fun one. I know the character choice is a bit weird, but I still think NECA nailed it as far as the design goes. He feels like a good, solid figure, and with the only real instance of the articulation maybe not being up to snuff is with it being a little too weak to hold up the blast effects on the swords themselves, which is going to make display a little tricky if you want to utilize those pieces. Otherwise, I do love this guy, and I think that this line is so much fun. I just love how creative NECA's getting with this, right? They're doing their thing that they do with the horror toys and smashing it together with one of their most famous toys ever, their most popular being Turtles. And you can tell that the designers over there are having a good time with these. And when they're having fun, I'm having fun because I get good toys out of it. So this Hunchback Leo is starting to hit stores right now. I found him at Target as part of the fall geek out thing. I actually found several of these on the shelf. So get out there and do some hunting. Hopefully you will find him as well. If not, he's still easily able to be pre-ordered from most of the online toy stores. So happy hunting, my friends. And until next time.